guys, welcome back to the show. The channel. It's good to be back here in front of the camera as well. You're going to look at Pool C now. A really even pool, and we've concentrated a lot on the other side of the half, the half of depth. But in the other half, it's very close, and it could be very interesting to see who goes through in Pool C. Of course, the teams are very evenly matched. You've got Australia, you've got Wales, you've got Georgia, Portugal, and you have Fiji. So there's a really tough pool there. You can easily see somebody slipping up. Then you can easily see one of the minnows going through. Let's start with the team that I think is probably not going to make the biggest impression. Portugal, a very passionate side. They've really come through, drawing with USA to qualify. Lots of emotional scenes that day that they qualified. But to be very honest, I don't think they're going to make too much of an impact in the tournament. They can cause a headache here and there, but I think all the other teams have got too much class. So then it comes down to the fight between the other four. Four goes into two, only two can qualify, and you have to think that the two so-called minnows are probably looking at their chances with a lot of glee there. They've got Georgia beat Wales last year, Fiji beat England at Twickenham the other day. Both sides are going in with good records, and when you look at the other two sides, Wales and Australia, they're not in the greatest of shape for a World Cup. I think let's start with Fiji. I think anybody who's watched the test at Twickenham with England will know how Fiji just didn't give up, and they never went away, and they've definitely got depth, and they've got a lot more discipline than we normally see. A lot of times you see the Fijians in the past falling off in the scrums, especially as the game went on, and you would see them struggling a bit in the loose, and especially with discipline. But they've seemed to do that, and that comes with being in Super Rugby Pacifica. They play together a lot more as the Drua, and are a much more tight side. The management's been working for them for months now, so they've got probably their best run into a World Cup in a long time. So I really would say Fiji are an exceptional team. It's going to be interesting to see how well they can time that run. In past World Cups, I remember in 2007, they were whiskers away from beating the Springboks there in Marseille. It was at that game, JP Peterson's tackle just saved the Boks. But they are a tough contender. Can they make a long run? Well, the pool's easy enough for them. When I say the pool's easy enough, it's easier than the other half of the draw. And whoever goes through from that pool has a very good chance of making the semi-finals. And I think that's the nice part about this part of the draw. If you're in that part of the draw, is you can pick up some momentum, and if you pick up some momentum, you could easily find yourself in a semi or even a final without having two big games to have played it. So that's I think Fiji are going to be a real tough team for the other teams in the competition. They've already shown, if you think of Wales's record against some Pacific Island nations in the past in the World Cups, I think Fiji will look at their chances. Georgia, I was lucky enough to be in Georgia last year just on a holiday. A lovely country, exceptional mountains, beauty. If you can ever go, please do. Especially up in the sort of the western part of the country, in Msheta and Ushkuli, places like that. Some real nice, if you're into hiking and things like that. It's a stunning part of the world to go to. Georgian rugby is thriving. They've got a 24-hour rugby channel on in the hotels. You see that on obviously local television, and they're really a good side. They've always been a very forward-based side. They've always had a team, that's been mainly based in France, then through the French top 14. But they've added some quality backs to their lineup as well now. So they really are a good all-round team. They've also obviously benefited from the likes of the Black Lions who play in the European Super Cup and who will be playing in the EPCR Challenge next season. So they've built up some continuity, and they've got a really good side. And with their win against Wales, they really will back themselves against all teams in this competition. They could be a spoiler as well. Then we get to Wales. Well, I think Warren Gatland's return. If you think when Wade Pivac left after Georgia beat Wales, there was a lot of hope that Warren Gatland coming back would sort of steady the ship. But it shows you a lot of times the second time around doesn't always work. The second time around doesn't do you so much justice, and I think Warren Gatland's struggling because there's been other problems that are far deeper in Welsh rugby, which they're trying to rectify at the moment. But obviously the timing of your coaching role is always an interesting one. So I think he's got the quality players. They just seem to lack a bit of self-belief. and probably we're going to see them playing a very tight game. They've got some great outside backs, but on the lead up to the games against England, they weren't that impressive. The Springboks beat their second side quite heavily, and so I think there's a lot of young, inexperienced side behind there. If they lose a couple of players, they could struggle a lot. But I think Warren Gatland will probably play the percentages and go back to Warren ball, and we'd see a really sort of, I suppose, low risk approach by the Welsh as well, to see them get them through, and they could get them through. You never know, and teams can pick up momentum as they go along. Then saying that, Australia, well, what can we say about Australia? One thing I can guarantee is that Eddie Jones will keep it interesting for us all. I think we know that. It's going to be a very interesting World Cup with Eddie there. He's going to make sure that the focus is on him and not his players. He's picked an extremely young squad. He's got the focus all on him. He's even had sparring matches with the local media. But Eddie's probably, as we've said before on this channel, and Jake White has said it as well, Eddie's planning for the Lions tour in 2 years' time. He's planning for a World Cup in 4 years' time. So this young group of theirs, if they go through and they can get a good win over Georgia and Portugal, it almost sets them up, to win one of those last two games to get out of the pool. If they get out the pool, they've got probably England or Argentina in the quarters. They believe they probably could win a game like that, and if they do that, then in the semi-finals, then Eddie's got a total win for everything he's done. So then he'll count that as a massive victory for him as well. So I don't think the outlook for the Wallabies is bad. They've got some great young players. Can they put it together in time? That's the big question for them. But one thing we'll definitely know is that Eddie will keep it interesting. Anyway, guys, that's my wrap for. I suppose I should. Sorry, I'm going to about to end. Let me first say who I think is going to go through. If it is up to me, and I know my Welsh friends are going to kill me for this one, but I would say Australia are going to go through, and Fiji will be the other side. I think it's going to be extremely close. I think we probably could see it going down a points difference as teams beat each other. But I think Australia and Fiji are the two sides I reckon will probably go through. How that plays out, it's going to be very interesting, but that'll be my call for that pool. Let's see what happens there, but that's going to be exceptionally interesting to see what goes on in that pool. Anyway, that's my take for that pool. Hope you guys enjoyed that. I see my camera's moving here. Let's just put that right, there we are. And yeah, thanks for watching, and please do subscribe to the channel if you haven't. Chat to you next time.